sister there, we're going to go buy a new boat. Now, it's not a new boat. We're going to put together what money we have and get what for us is a new boat. But it was an old beat-up boat with a lot of holes in it. And they said because sometimes when you're having trouble fishing, what you do is you just get a new boat and you start over, and everything's good. So they got this boat, and they spent weeks repairing it, patching it, painting it, and then they came to Sister, and this is what this sister did not know. She said, the boat is ready, and we're going to go out tomorrow morning. Come down, please, to the water, and bless the boat. So Sister went down, and when she got there, it's all painted and beautiful, and there on the bow, the boat was named Dorothy. We're talking thousands of miles away from the Amazon. She said, you named the boat Dorothy. And they said, yes. Everyone knows the angel of the Amazon. And if anyone is going to take care of us, it will be Dorothy, the angel of the Amazon. And the next morning they went out in that boat and they caught more fish than they could bring in. Yes. Because the angel of the Amazon was there. Part of the Eucharist and living ethically out of the Eucharist is that an action I do here, an action you do where you are, is an action that brings all of the human community and all of the cosmos closer to what God from the beginning set up and calls us to. There is no action. When my mother wipes the toothpaste off of Dad's trousers, she's having as big an impact on the ethics of living rightly in the world as Dorothy is when she dies. Now, I'm going to show some clips. There are 4 videos already made of Dorothy that are really great, and I'm going to show a few clips because I want you to see her. You're going to see her. And she was tiny. She was 73 years old. She says, when she went back to Brazil and we said, don't go back, she said, no, I got to go back for my people, but don't worry, who's going to shoot a 73-year-old nun? Right, who's going to shoot a little old nun? Now, what we want to start with, yes. And this is so appealing because you'll see her and you'll really hear what her vision was. Witness to justice, and we're starting to get to 51. Let's see. Oh, I see, yeah. That's what it's This is the one we want to get to 50. Put the cursor right on that and move it faster. Yeah. Almost good. That's good. Okay. Let's just start it. Yes. What you're seeing right, what's going to start right now is her funeral. So. When she was buried in, and she asked if she wanted to be buried in the Amazon, which of course we said yes. Oops, it jumped back. Let's see. It'll keep coming. Just wait. This is not Dorothy. This is Dorothy's best friend. Her name is Joan. That's Dorothy's sister. It's coming.
She carried the people. Was just very penetrating. She just stood in the gap. She carried the people. Was just very penetrating. She just stood in the gap. She
yeah, it's jumping.
Carried their,
it's going back and forth.
There we go.
There we go.
land
Let's just let it go forward
certificates
from there,
and titles
yeah.
right with her. And she proved to them that they were a person and that this was their property and that the fake land titles that people made had no meaning. That she had them, this was their property. And they knew that she would go to the police when someone was murdered. And they knew she would go to the mayor. And they knew she was there for them. There wasn't anybody going to walk over her, you know, and they trusted her for that. And I think that's why she was so darn determined when people would be murdered, and that it was like she let them down. And so she had to go make it right.
So this is Sister Dorothy's story. But what does it mean to us? How are we changed because of her life and death?
I think that what Dot would want those of us who are in the world to know and to live is, first of all, to realize that we are all children of God, and that all of us have a right to live in dignity as human beings. We have a right to have enough food to eat. We have a right to have a decent home. We have a right to an education. And that not only do human beings have rights, but the whole of nature is part of God's creation. And that from the time that human beings were created, God told us to take care of the earth. She loved creation. She loved the animals. She loved the birds. She loved everything that God had made. And her message to us is we must take care of it so that future generations can enjoy the earth and the beauty that God has put into the earth for us.
No, I think it's
No, I wanna move that on.
interesting that in her death,
We're going to move to...
Dorothy all of a sudden turns to me and
Yes,
realizes.
this is really a neat story. Now, this is her brother David. David is the one she had called 2 nights before she was killed. They were very close. He lives in Colorado. And she's going to tell this fabulous real story that he didn't even know himself that occurred during her life. So we need to start at 100. Yeah. There.
Dorothy all of a sudden turns to me and realizes
Can we go a little bit
that's
back
me.
now? Get the beginning of the story. Okay, here.
He's like, I don't know where he is. He comes in and he says,
Okay, let's try this.
and I believe it was Sister Jane was there. And she looks at me, she's like...
This is a story of something that happened to him when he was in Brazil after Dorothy's death.
He comes in and he says in Portuguese, where is Dorothy's brother? And of course he all of a sudden turns to me and he realizes that that's me. And he comes up quickly over to me and gives me a hug. And of course everybody's like this because they don't know who he is or what he's going to do. And he gives me a big hug. And he sits down and he just looks at me. And he's touching me like this. And he says, I've got to tell you about your sister. And Jane is translating for me. And he says, you need to know that a month before your sister was murdered, my brother was murdered. And I need to tell you that story. And he says, my brother was driving on the road on a food, and his car was full of things. And he was set upon by thieves. They stopped his car, pulled him out of his car, and was beating the living daylights out of him. And there was another car behind my brother's car. And the person in that car jumps out of the car, runs up to my brother, chases the thieves away, he said. Grabs my brother, puts him in her car, and tells some other people that were with her to guard that car. And takes him to the hospital, in the local clinic, and stays with him until he dies. And he says, you need to know that was your sister. And he says, and you need to know that I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. And I was taught not to like Catholics. And I was taught by the mayor and all the government city council people because I'm on that